Well, hello! Welcome to the show. How's it going? It is.
All right.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you, but anyway. He wants to hop in already. It is Sunday, September 8th, 2019. I have no idea what the day is whatsoever. So, anyway, we made some changes to the show a little bit. Changes that you wouldn't know, because you're not really all up with the production side of things. But when we used to start the show, it used to just be this little title card that said the show will start soon, and it was just dead silent. I added music this time, so now there's like music for that to, I don't know, make it more inviting, I guess, less quiet. So anyway, so that's the thing that we added. Trying to up the production level on the show a little bit. So anyway, but what's new with you this week, Zach?
What do you think?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. So no big like crises at work or anything like that. Nothing blew up.
I mean, I bought a hard drive. Does that put it in my computer? That's cool, right? Incredible, huh?
Wait, what happened?
I bought a hard drive. It's inside of my computer now.
Oh,
Look at me.
you put a hard drive inside of your computer?
I did that. You're right. I did. A hard disk drive. That's right.
Oh, do you need some more storage space? Ah, I see. What are you storing now? More games?
I have lots of junk.
Oh. What is considered
I have
junk?
I have actually got like probably a lot of duplicates of things that I need to sort through. And as part of putting in a new hard drive and shuffling things over, I'm discovering duplicated data and deleting it.
Oh. Duplicated data as in what? Like games, files,
Like,
music?
like mostly backups of stuff. Be like, oh, that's my old computer. I'm gonna back stuff up on it. Okay, whatever. And then I'll dump this crap somewhere, and then
Oh,
someday
okay.
I'll be like, oh, I'm looking for this, this, and this, and I bet it's on my old computer, and then I'll go get it and transfer it and forget that I had a backup of it already or something like that.
So, I have to ask, what has become of your gaming laptop? Just literally nothing?
Well, it's very old, so yes.
I didn't think it was that old. I thought
It
it was.
is more than 5 years old,
Oh,
I believe.
well, so is my MacBook
I think.
Pro, and
Okay,
it was still
well,
a
and
decent machine.
I think I would label your MacBook Pro a piece of junk.
Well, you label anything with Apple a piece of junk. Just saying.
Whatever. Anyway, you know what did happen though when I did that? I thought that I had like cooked a dim or something like that. I don't know. Like
Cooked a
all I did was
dim?
put in a hard drive, but apparently my computer would not post after that. I was like,
Really?
and the indicator on the motherboard indicated that it was stuck at DRAM. I was like, huh?
Do you remember when both of us were building systems and we were looking at the post codes upside down?
Yeah. This motherboard doesn't have postcodes. It just has LEDs.
Oh, just LED lights?
But you know, it's weird. Okay, so I had identified that it would boot with one of the sticks, right?
Okay, so one
So,
dim, but
I
not the
take
other.
out one of the sticks, it boots. Okay, that sucks. I don't really want to have 16, but whatever.
What do you got right now?
Um,
32?
Yes.
Jeez.
But then, okay, so put it back in the same slot, doesn't work. Switch it to the other slot, it works. Okay, now we're on the supposedly
Are
bad
you
stick
just
in the other slot, and it works fine.
Are you just
Then
destined to
I put
get
the other stick back into the questionable slot, and it works fine again. So in the end, all I did was switch the slots, and it works.
Are you just destined to get bad
So
bad
I don't know
motherboards?
what happened. I really don't know what happened. I don't even think the slot is bad because
Didn't you have a bad
I
dim?
rebooted it several times. It works still.
Hmm.
So
Didn't
I
you-
don't know what happened, but it was really weird, and I was like really annoyed for a moment. I was like, but it just didn't add up, right? Because all I did was switch out. All I did was install a hard drive.
Well, okay, so you had a bad dim on your other motherboard, on your
I
old
had a bad
motherboard, right?
slot.
Or yeah, not
However,
dim.
however,
Dim
that
slot.
motherboard, I sort of reached a point with that where it was like a Jenga tower, right? I got it working. We're not going to touch it.
A Jenga tower. I like that.
Like, I got it working. We're not going to touch it.
It works. It's fine. Don't look at it funny. It'll break.
It may well be that it works. It may well be that it's functional, and I just don't know it. But I didn't want to touch it. Because what if I mess it up again?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I don't care. Screw it.
So
not doing that. Nope. Nope. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever. That was just a funny thing there.
So anyway, let's do this real quick here. So coming up on the show today, I need to be better about like talking about what we're going to talk about on the show. So we're going to talk about some spam issues with Google Calendar. Best Buy is dropping a product line. Of course, your favorite segment of the show, Microsoft News, although Microsoft didn't really do anything dumb this week. Something kind of cool, though. Let's see. Apple is mad at Google. We'll find out why. And TCL is going to be releasing a phone, or they have. So, yeah, that's all coming your way. But first, the intro. I always forget to hit the intro. So anyway, yeah, there we go. We managed to get the intro in there this week. So, but yeah, let's hop into tech topics for this week. Google says that there is a fix coming for the obnoxious Google Calendar spam issue. Have you run into this? I did.
I don't use Google Calendar, so no, I haven't.
Okay, so basically, from what my understanding, like, I got this weird thing on my Google Calendar that said, hey, you've won a free iPhone, remember to pick it up on such and such date or whatever. But, yeah.
Hello, scam.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Google right now is working hard to resolve that issue, but it basically allows malicious third parties to essentially hijack your Google Calendar with unremovable spam invites. So that's great. Now, Google posted on their forum that they knew there was a problem that existed, and they're working to basically fix that problem. They say, we're aware of the spam occurring in Calendar and are working diligently to resolve this issue. We'll post updates to this thread as they become available, the post reads. Now, The Verge actually did create some documentation on like a workaround right now on how you can basically get rid of the spam messages. So, let's see here. Learn how to report and remove spam. Thank you for your patience. This message includes a link to another help page to tell you how to report the unwanted invites or events. Google also advises you to never respond to the invite, as they could result in spam messages remaining as a crossed out event on your calendar. Interesting. So, is now a really good time to talk about, like, you know, not clicking on random links to things that you don't know where they go? You know, just in general.
Yeah, sure, that seems reasonable.
That's kind of...
So here's a little rundown of what you should do. Okay, if you see something that looks maybe a little bit sketchy online, it probably is, right?
Right. Or one of those, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Or if it says you've got something for free, something that you, especially if it's something you want or something expensive.
You know, my favorite is like
you're getting that for free. You're not getting it.
My favorite one is still the Albanian prince.
You mean Nigerian
or
prince?
the Nigerian prince. There we go. Thank you.
People still fall for that. It's like a joke now, but people still fall for it.
Right. Well, so we had some old family members from out of town up in the Twin Cities area that came down, and both the wife and the husband were hit with one of those like tech support scams. So it's amazing how many of those actually hit people. Have you ever gotten one of those?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh man, I have.
I have seen countless many of them.
I got one time, and I had a virtual machine already ready to go that I just let them play around in. It was pretty funny. So, got them all the way to the payment portion of it, and then when they asked me, what's my bank account information? I'm like, well, here's the thing. My bank doesn't exist because I know you're a tech support scammer. Click. So, anyway. Another time I got one, and I wanted to screw with them so badly, but it's like, yeah, I have a Mac computer. Click. So, they had absolutely no idea what to do. You know what would be really funny? Is to basically create a virtual machine that's like just a command line interface, like a Fedora install with just a command line, and see what they do.
Okay, core version. Do they call it a core version? They call it something.
It's like a server edition.
Oh, it's not server edition.
Well, they call it headless because you don't need to actually interact with, because you don't need to have a keyboard or a mouse hooked up to the thing. So that's what I've got. I've got a Fedora server in the house that is headless, so I can just get into it with with Putty. So did I tell you I was trying to access it for the longest time, and I forgot that I had it linked to a subdomain. So I was just typing in a top level domain, and it kept failing. And it was like, well, why the heck can't I log in? Turns out I was trying to go to the wrong spot. So anyway,
that does seem like a bit of an issue.
I was trying to log into my hosting providers, like login or SSH server, rather than the actual box itself, which didn't work. So anyway, but yeah. Moving on, Best Buy is leaving smart home users in the cold. But its Wi-Fi freezer is still going to mostly work. Yeah, Best Buy has a Wi-Fi freezer, apparently. Did you know
Why
this?
do they have a Wi-Fi freezer?
I don't know.
A Wi-Fi freezer. I need that in my life right now. A Wi-Fi freezer. You ever seen that picture? You ever seen that picture of like a fridge with like an...
Yes, I have seen that.
On it? You're like, oh, I'm just gonna get something out of the fridge. Hold on, I gotta check my Facebook here real quick.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say,
I just cannot understand the appeal of that. Like, I carry a smartphone. It does all of those things, okay? It does all of those things. I don't need my smartphone or an equivalent or functional equivalent of that device attached to everything in my house. I have one in my pocket.
I thought you
It's
were
with
gonna
me all the time.
I thought you were gonna say the Windows 10 update on the fridge.
Oh! I've seen that one too. That one's a good one.
I'm looking for it, but I can't find it. So.
Oh, I like that one.
Anyway, yeah, that one's pretty funny. But yeah, so Best Buy basically quietly announced it's going to be shutting down its mobile platform for controlling Insignia branded smart home devices.
To be honest, I didn't even know they had such a thing.
No, I didn't either. I did not either. And that shutdown is going to be taking place on November 6th. So, coming up in about a month. So, now, with this, affected products, they're still going to function at their base level, but like all the smart home feature stuff, yeah, gone.
Out the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those products are like smart wall plugs, Wi-Fi light switches, smart cameras, the Wi-Fi freezer. Which, what the flip do you do with a Wi-Fi freezer? Control the temperature? I
don't know.
This is interesting though. So Best Buy is going to be running like some kind of reimbursement program for anyone that's actually bought one of these devices. And they confirmed that the smart freezer will retain all normal freezer functions. So, I mean, that's a thing, I guess. But,
well, at least it'll freeze.
Right, yeah. So, now, I mean, if you bought some of these products, like some of like the plugs and the light switches and things like that, they still, some of them can be controlled by like Apple's HomeKit, so they're compatible with that. So like those ones would still continue to have a smart functionality kind of thing where you'd still be able to control them that way. But for the most part, like if they rely on the actual like Insignia like app that controls it, just like gone, get wrecked,
Out the window.
Yeah.
See you later.
So yeah. Oh, this is interesting though. So let's say you had some schedules like set up for like smart plugs or something like that. Those are still going to continue to run.
So can you change them?
I don't think so.
So you're just stuck with it.
Right? Yeah, that's the part that I thought of. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
God,
they'll continue to
that's
run,
good.
so it must be local to the device. But
So it's like local to the device, but the device still requires the server in order to be reprogrammed, essentially.
you know what?
Why?
That is an interesting question. How does that work when like daylight savings time comes around? Because everything will be off at that point then. Given the leap forward or the leap back, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
But no, I thought that was a weird thing though. That like schedules are still going to continue to work, but like, yeah, you're not going to be able to edit them. So, you know. Oh. And then like, of course, like the physical switches that are actually on these devices, like the smart plugs, those will still work. But I mean, like, what's the point of that then? You know? You might as well get up and you know, just flip the switch or whatever on the light or whatever you got it connected to. Like, there's no point at that point. So.
I don't know.
Yeah. So. And then if you're using like the smart camera thing, so I guess all your clips get uploaded to like some big server or something like that. So if you've got anything you want to keep from that, you're gonna want to make sure you download that. They say by November 4th, so a couple days before the actual shutdown of everything happens. After that, everything of course is going to be deleted. So gone. So this is still interesting though. So they are reimbursing people, like I said. They're going to do it on e-gift cards, and those gift cards will not have an expiration date. Which, I mean, I guess kudos to Best Buy. So, and I mean they've also pulled all the products off the website, or at least what's on the website is marked as discontinued. Although, so here's an interesting thing. They must be selling some of them through Amazon, and so Amazon still has some of the stuff that's on sale right now.
Okay.
Right?
Mildly funny.
Yeah. Now, any, like, installation fees or anything like that, those are non-refundable. They're not gonna reimburse you for any of that stuff. Which I think kind of makes sense. And the cool thing is like, you can register up to 10 serial numbers for devices, smart devices, and they'll reimburse you for up to 10. So I think that's pretty generous. I mean, considering the average person's probably not going to have more than, maybe a couple of these things in their house. So, but yeah. Now here's the thing though. So I'm not sure how the reimbursements are going to work though. Whether it's going to be like, they're just going to reimburse you for the full amount of the device, or just a partial of it. So. And do you remember we talked a while back, the same thing actually happened to Lowe's? Remember they had like some smart products that like went under? So I don't
that sounds like something that I remember.
Yeah, we talked about it. I remember that, but anyway. So but like, you know, it opens up an interesting debate, or not debate, but like an interesting thought as to, you know, think about how much we rely on the smart stuff now, and at any time, at any discretion, and we've seen it with like a smoke detector too, like the smart smoke detector, where companies will just drop the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and then the device just becomes useless. Like,
Exactly.
why?
Well, Amazon did it too with, remember the buttons?
Yeah.
Now people just have all these random buttons that just don't do anything. So like, what do you do with it? You know? I guess what I don't understand though, and I guess I don't know all the logistics of like the behind the scenes software and servers and processing and things like that, but like Best Buy's a big enough company and they're a tech company. Like I'm a little surprised that this didn't work out for them. So I don't know. Maybe it was poor management. Maybe they just didn't want to continue with it anymore.
I couldn't even begin to speculate why they stopped doing it.
Or maybe it's because the products just weren't that well known and people weren't buying them. I mean, both me and you didn't know the fact that they had those.
I guess you're maybe right about that.
So, it is interesting. It really is interesting. But, yeah, Anyway, let's move on. One of our favorite times of the show. Time for our Microsoft news this week. So, Microsoft revealed earlier in the year that Power Toys were going to be a thing that were coming back to Windows 10. Now, I didn't even know what Power Toys were, but
I remember we talked about it.
Yeah,
but I didn't know it was a thing before.
Yeah, but they used to be little utilities that would basically let you customize Windows. Now, somebody just needs to create a Power Toy that turns off all the telemetry data. That'd be nice. Anyway.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Microsoft has now released 2 utilities. They're kind of cool, actually. So the first one is actually this Windows key shortcut guide kind of thing. That basically puts like this giant overlay. I haven't seen it, but it puts an overlay over your screen. And then kind of shows you like what all the different Windows key combinations can be. Which is really useful if you're somebody who doesn't know what they are. I think
I know quite a few, but I'm sure I don't know all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure not all of them. Here's an interesting question. What happens if you hit Control and Escape? Not a Windows key, but what happens if you hit both those keys together?
I just did it. It presses the start menu. I did not know.
Yeah. Yep.
That's actually cool if you have like a keyboard that doesn't support that.
You know what? Button. You know what one you taught me, and I'm not going to do it right now because I'll screw stuff up. But the Alt Control Shift what one is it? Which one restarts the graphics driver?
Alt Control Shift something.
No, I didn't think it was Shift. I thought it was the Windows key.
I'm gonna Google it now. I honestly don't remember that. I do remember knowing it.
Yeah. What did you teach me that, or what did you need that for?
I forgot.
You must have needed it for something because
Windows Control Shift B.
Windows Control Shift B. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is the one.
I didn't know that was a thing until you taught me that. So
to be honest, I didn't learn that one accidentally. I think someone told me that one, but I've learned a lot of them accidentally.
Like, what have you learned? What ones have you learned accidentally?
I learned that you can switch between the desktops on Windows 10 if you have multiple desks by Control Alt arrow keys.
Oh, really? So, and each software's a little bit
Control Windows arrow key.
Control Windows arrow key.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Any arrow key or just like left, right, or up, down?
Well, whichever direction you want to go. So left, right.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. This second one sounds kind of cool. The second utility that they've got is this thing called Fancy Zones, which is basically a Windows manager. I actually do want to kind of check this one out. But it allows you to run like multiple apps side by side. Kind of like with the snapping feature, but like you can draw your own zones. Which is kind of cool. And then drag and drop your apps into those different zones. And then they'll snap and
interesting.
Be those specific sizes and things like that. So great if you really, really want to customize your desktop. For me, I mean, it sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind checking it out. There's actually a 5-minute tutorial that Microsoft has created about, like, I guess using the feature and things like that. However, it does not work well with multi-monitor setups right now. So, I'm guessing with things across screens and stuff like that, but, yeah. But, it sounds like a lot of Windows fans have been happy to see the return of Power Toys, and, Microsoft is actually, embracing the enthusiasm. They're also making all this stuff open source, at least these ones right here. So you can pick up the source code on GitHub and things like that if you know what you're doing. And I think more stuff is going to be following, which is kind of cool. I don't know if I think the general public can make these things. I would imagine so, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so when the Power Toys project was first announced this spring, we didn't think the reception would be as enthusiastic as it has been, explains Microsoft's developer platform team. Given this enthusiasm, we're anticipating many developers, will want to contribute to Power Toys, and we made sure that the documentation, project architecture, and tools are ready for the community to dive in. So it'll be interesting to see what these little utilities that people come up with are going to be. So I'm still waiting for one that's going to block all the telemetry data.
Yeah, and I bet Microsoft's gonna block that.
I was just gonna say, how long before Microsoft just blocks that?
You can't do that.
Nope.
That's not the kind of tool we wanted you to make.
Right. So, you know what I'm finding? So, normally, I don't do enough research before the show to sit down and actually, So this week I actually produced the show, produced the show. I've got bullet points and things like that, which is why you don't hear me reading as much, which is normally what I do. But that makes the show take so much longer. We're just zipping through topics this week. So, although, the one thing that we've complained about is that the show is always too long, or at least you used to complain about that.
It does get pretty long sometimes.
So when me and Pleb did the show, I swear we had a 2-hour long show.
We've had those too.
Yeah. So it was pretty long. But anyway, this is kind of funny. So Apple accused Google of basically stroking fear over the iPhone security issues. So basically, Apple isn't happy about the way that Google revealed a major iPhone security flaw.
Oh, I know what this is doing already.
Yeah, this is the Google security researchers revealed that malicious websites used previously undisclosed security flaws in iOS. So, which were used to hack the devices over at least 2 years. So, you know what though? All right, so here's the thing: if the flaw had been there for 2 years and then Google found it, right? I don't Can Apple really be that mad? Come on, guys. You didn't catch this for 2 years? So the vulnerabilities were fixed back in February, which was just... And they did it 10 days after the act... they learned about it. And Apple's not disputing the research. They're okay, fine, yep. Not that they really can.
Got me.
Right, not that they really can.
No, it's that's it's like flat earthers, They dispute. I dispute that the Earth is round. Well, you can't.
I reject your reality and substitute.
I reject the facts that are proven by science.
I reject your reality, Zach, and substitute my own.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I can. I live in my own world. So.
Okay, well, no one's going to agree with you, but you are welcome to think again.
No. Everyone in the Flat Earth Society will. Let's make this very clear. I do not believe that the world is flat.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So, well, okay, look at it. It's just
there
like the
are people who will believe you.
It's just like the Apple community. There's a number of people that believe the Apple community is way better. There are people that believe the Windows community is way better. There are people that believe the Linux community is way better. I'm not wrong, am I?
No.
So, anyway, yeah, but basically Apple is mad because they say that Google was stroking fear among all iPhone users that their devices have been compromised because key details were omitted in Google's blog post. I don't actually know what was actually in the blog post initially, but let's see. The sophisticated attack was narrowly focused, not a broad-based exploit of iPhones and masses as described explains Apple. The attack affected fewer than a dozen websites that focus on content related to the what? What the frick is this word?
Is that a word?
Uyghur community?
Googling that.
What?
The Uyghurs are a minority Turkic? Why does Wikipedia say that? Turkic. I wanted to see. You could hear it in my voice there. I wanted to say Turkish.
I know. Yeah, I want to.
Turkic
That's what I was
ethnic
thinking.
Group originating from and culturally affiliated with the general region of Central and East Asia.
Okay.
So they're a group of people.
Basically, okay, yeah. But that group, or that community, right? Subsequent reports have revealed that these websites also targeted Windows and Android users, but Google didn't detail this aspect of the attacks. All evidence indicates that these websites attacks were only operational for a brief period, roughly 2 months, not 2 years, as Google implies, says Apple. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. The unprecedented attack on Apple iPhones revealed by Google this week was broader than first thought. Multiple sources from knowledge of the situation said that Google's own Android operating system and Microsoft Windows PCs were also targeted in a campaign that sought to interfere or infect the computers and smartphones of that ethnic group in China. The community has long been targeted by the Chinese government, in particular in the whatever that region is. Yep. Yeah, whatever that word is right there, Zach. Region where surveillance is
okay.
pervasive.
Okay. I don't know I don't know how to say that either. I don't speak Chinese. Well, that's not Chinese text, but it's Chinese pronunciation.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Filthy Americans don't do that.
What other can you speak any other language? You never took a second language class in high school?
I had to take American Sign Language. I don't remember any of it though.
American Sign Language, okay.
Well, that was one of the options. I took that because the teacher was very lazy and didn't make us really do it.
What else do I expect from? I expect nothing less of Zach. I expect nothing less of Zach. You know what my favorite moment? I need to go back and grab this, but you know what my favorite moment of the show is so far? Not this show, but just like in general, one of my favorite moments of this whole Ram Show thing is the when I asked you the one time, besides computer class, what was your favorite class in school? And you're like, well, way to take away my only answer.
Whatever.
Really though, like besides that though, come on, there must have been one other class that you sort of kind of enjoyed.
I can't even be bothered thinking about it. I mean, probably would have been, I don't know, in my senior year we had to take a capstone course where we did some kind of self-guided project, and
I'd still classify that as a computer class, but
well, yeah, that's because me and a friend made it a computer class. And we just sat on our computers the whole time. Like it was 7th period, last period. We'd go down to the shop. We'd put out those laptops, and we'd get hard at work. And then when it came time to actually complete the project, we did it in like 1 week.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It was great. That was a great class. And the guy teaching the class, he didn't bother anyone at all.
You know what my
I got a good grade too.
You know what my other favorite moment of the show was? Zach, you like math, don't you? No, I don't. I hate math.
What would have given you the impression I do?
I don't know. I thought you said at one point in time you did.
I don't like math. That's not true.
I know, your reaction was priceless. No, I don't. I hate math.
I loathe math, more like.
I loathe math. Oh, man. There are some good moments of you.
Oh boy.
Still probably the best though is the but Windows Vista. Windows Vista. Oh man. Do you even remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember one of the very first clips we ever recorded, which never made it into a video, was me saying, "Hey, welcome to what was the name of the channel again?" Do you remember that?
I actually don't remember that, and I think that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I forgot the name of it was our very first video ever, and I had totally forgotten the name of the channel that we picked. You and Joe were like, you guys lost it. I lost it. So anyway, that was kind of funny. Like, what did we name the channel again? So anyway. Let's see. What else does it say? Google, Microsoft's operating systems were targeted via the same websites that launched the iPhone hacks. According to the source, the Android and Windows were targeted in a sign that the hacks were anyway. Okay, yeah. So anyway, but yeah. So basically, yeah, so Apple fixed those run buttons within 10 days of actually hearing it. When Google approached us, we were already in the process of fixing the exploited bugs, explained to Apple. It's not clear whether Google was aware of the reported attacks to hack Android devices with the same website, or why the company didn't reveal that the overall attack was very narrow, as Apple claims. Security is a never-ending journey, and our customers can be confident we are working for them.
Right.
Thank you. I was waiting for some kind of response from you. Yeah, that's why Apple just charges astronomical amounts to fix your devices for you, even though you've already
Working
handed
to
them.
make you the product.
Even though you've already handed them, an astronomical amount of money for the device to begin with. So, although you know what, that might not be necessarily as fair now. The price for an iPhone is pretty comparable to like a flagship
Yeah, there's been some
Android
serious
device.
price creep. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, I think OLED screens have made things more expensive. Actually, it has made things more expensive.
I don't know about that. I remember seeing some kind of an article that claimed it claimed that an iPhone costs like $300 and some to build. That was an iPhone 10.
I think though the price of phones just in general has increased because I think I thought I remembered reading something a long time ago that said that like cell phone manufacturers used to have like contracts with major telecommunication companies to like basically that they would like reimburse them for a decent amount of the phones and things like that, and then or something like that, and then they started stopping that.
Part of something is that do you remember way back when you'd have like an upgrade cycle, like every 2 years you'd get a discounted upgrade phone from your carrier, right, in exchange for renewing your contract. I don't really hear about that anymore.
Well, because I don't think a lot of companies, like I don't think so. We're on Verizon, but I don't think Verizon has us locked into a contract. I don't think contracts really exist anymore.
I'm fairly sure that they do.
Oh, I'm sure they probably do. Actually, I just got out of my contract with US Cellular. Actually, I've been out of my contract with US Cellular for a while for my hotspot, and I actually just this week dropped my service with them because I wasn't using my hotspot. So,
yeah, fair enough then.
Well, so I purchased a second device.
Yeah, I guess why would you need it?
Right. Yeah.
It is.
Which is what I should have done in the first place, but
part of the price creep has to be blamed on, just the I guess the spec creep as well, for lack of a better word.
Well, that could be too.
Like
yeah.
My phone has 8 cores, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and a higher resolution high refresh rate screen than my desktop PC.
Then your
That's
desktop
crazy.
PC, really?
Well, I have a 144 hertz monitor on my desktop PC, but that's 1080p. This phone is 1440. It's 3120 by 1440.
You know what? I think my Samsung Galaxy S9 might be that way too.
And yours is probably got a higher resolution as well. This screen is 90 hertz too. Like, this is a nice screen. This is a nice CPU in there, nice huge bucket loads of memory. Yeah, it makes sense.
Interesting. Let's see.
Also, have you seen the craze with all the cameras? Like, this thing has 3 cameras.
Oh yeah, I
There's a
have.
Nokia phone with like 5.
Yeah,
There's a
I have seen that.
Samsung Note 10 has like 4. It's like, ugh.
You know, I was
Yeah.
working on one the other day. We did a screen replacement, which is, you know what? So Samsung now, yeah, you pay a little bit more, but like, I think the way they're doing it now, when we get parts, we're getting like the frame and the screen as one piece, and you just move a bunch of components over. On the S10, I didn't really have to move that many components over. A couple cameras and the main board, and that was about it. So, although they have soldered, and this is one thing that I'm not super happy about, they have soldered the charging port, at least on the S10 Plus, to the motherboard. Which means that that's no longer a repair that we can do unless we had a micro solderer, which we don't. So, on the S9, it's modular. So it's got its own little daughter board that you can just replace. So, yeah, that's a thing. But anyway, now this says Project Zero posts technical research that is designed to advance the understanding of security vulnerabilities, which leads to better defensive strategies. We stand by our in-depth research, which was written to focus on the technical aspects of these vulnerabilities. We'll continue to work with Apple and other leading companies to help keep people safe online. Coolio. Let's talk about this real quick here. So, TCL is a kind of little unknown company-ish.
In their TVs floating around.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of like a low-end... Well, I think they're kind of like a low-end, like, electronics manufacturer, aren't they? Kind of? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. So, they're going to be releasing a new smartphone called the Plex, basically this year in Europe. The company has even larger mobile ambitions for 2020 that include a foldable phone and 5G. And the Plex, which by the way has no association with the app, is going to be TCL's starting point to establish its name in phones beyond the BlackBerry and Alcatel brands that they own right now. I didn't even know that those two brands were owned by TCL. In fact, I didn't even know those two brands were really all that relevant anymore. I had an Alcatel One Touch Tribe, which was like, it had like the screen up top, and then it had the exposed keyboard down below. It was like a full keyboard. That was like my first non-smartphone that was like... Well, but I had just gotten texting turned on, and so I wanted the full keyboard because it was much easier to text that way than it was with like T9. So I never actually really learned how to text T9 at all. So
I never did either.
I remember. Do you remember what your first phone was? Your first phone, not your first smartphone, but your first phone.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was one of those little slidey keyboard ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then after that, I had a hand-me-down Droid X. Oh, that was the coolest thing ever.
Are you
love
just...
that thing.
Did you really?
I did. I had that. It was a hand-me-down from my dad. He got some other droid. Forgot what he got.
So this thing is going to be available in black or white for 329 euros. What is that equivalent? Can you do the translation for me on that? Or the conversion? To US dollar?
$362.
$362.
Mm-hmm.
So the Plex is going to be a mid-range device. So here's kind of the back of it here. If you... Oh, you know what? You have the rundown. So you can follow along with the pictures. Because I actually sent you everything this week. I doubt you actually opened any of that stuff up, though, did you?
I don't need to. We're good.
Anyway, I do want to get your thoughts on it, though. So please open the article.
What are we talking about here?
You are looking at... Oh, what are you looking at? You're going to be looking at A6. So, anyway. I like the design of the back. It looks like it's got a glass back with what looks to be a fingerprint sensor. Is that 2 lights? I think there's 2 lights on this thing. Did you get it? Did you get it opened up?
The PDF won't open, so I'm just Googling for it.
Oh, here. Hang on.
Bingo, I found it.
Did you?
Oh, it's got that bezel-less thing going. It's got a hole punch. Why did it pull an S10? Come on. I don't like
You know what? Me and my manager were talking about that the other day.
I don't like that. That's not cool.
Yeah. Hang on.
Probably won't be a thing in the U.S. market, though.
I don't know. They'll probably see how it does in Europe and then maybe decide. But I bet you it's going to be something similar to what is it? Similar to like your OnePlus, where it's probably going to be like a how does your OnePlus work? Because it doesn't actually work on the network.
It doesn't use CDMA network, so the LTE network, which is a GSM network, just does everything.
Yeah. Oh, what the flippity flop? Why isn't this working?
Triple cameras and such. Oh my. Look at that. I'm not sure I like the design of this thing.
Yeah, you're hang on. Let's see.
I don't like that stupid hole punch camera. Also, I think that the back looks kind of stupid, but I don't know, whatever. That's just a subjective, personal thing.
Right. Hang on.
Does have a micro SD slot and a headphone jack, though. That's interesting.
Oh, it has a headphone jack?
I have less of an attachment to the micro SD card, though, when phones are coming with just...
There you go. There's the article that I'm looking at. So, I don't know if that's what you actually have opened or
My
not.
phone has 256 gigs. I don't need an SD card. That's a lot of storage.
Yeah, so TCL told the editor that the company is focused on 2 key areas in designing this thing: the display and the camera. Phones like the Pixel 3 XL have set new expectations for devices at this price point. So TCL isn't exactly a camera company, but it's still aiming to be at par out of the gate. So this thing has 3 cameras on it, which you can see in the picture here. It's got a 48 megapixel main sensor from Sony, a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 2 megapixel cam that's meant strictly for low light shooting.
It's probably so what
Yeah.
they do is that 2 megapixel is for essentially it like gathers additional image data for the algorithms that process the image. You're not actually taking the final image with just that 2 megapixel. But my bet is that 48 megapixel is the same sensor that just about every flagship's been using for a while.
Well, that could be. Yeah.
It's made by Sony, and it's a something. I don't know. I forgot the name of it, but
So,
everybody's using it.
excuse me. This thing has a 6.53 inch FHD. What is full HD? Is that what that is?
So that's probably going to be a 1080p class display.
But it's going to be an LCD display, not an OLED, just an LCD. So, TCL has humorously dubbed Dotch
That's stupid.
because of its hole punch cutout at the upper left. Dotch. Just as with its TVs, the company manufactures the screen itself, which is kind of cool. So,
Not seem to be the greatest of screens, though.
yeah. So it does have a hole punch in it.
I guess they've got some kind of post-processing.
Let me ask you.
Image processing crap. Next Vision. Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this real quick here. So, if you had to, you don't have this issue, I don't have this issue. Would you A, rather have a bezel, B, have the pop-up camera, 3, have a notch, or 4, have a hole punch?
Bezel or pop-up, please.
I am totally fine with a bezel on my phone. I don't think it's a problem.
I don't mind. I don't understand this like obsession with eliminating the bezel completely. Like
but okay, again, and I've said this before. The theory is to have a literally edge to this thing doesn't, but is to have a pretty much edge to edge screen, which I think is what the curve thing started. That's why they started doing it.
I also don't really like that curve thing.
You know what?
It doesn't bother me on my phone, but
it makes putting a screen protector on.
I would go without it.
It makes putting a screen protector on a literal pain in the rear end, because they don't stick because of the sides.
Personally, I would also go with no front camera.
Yeah, I know you would.
I don't use it. Like whatever. There's some interesting things as well though that companies are trying. Like, have you seen the ones that like the screen slides down?
Oh,
like,
really?
Like almost like one of those old slide keyboards. You remember those? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Basically, the front and the back of the phone do that, and like the screen slides down, and there's like a camera.
That's interesting.
And
kind of cool.
There's one that has the camera fold up from the back. There's one that has a screen on the back, so you can just take a picture with the back camera.
Yep.
Like all these silly gimmicks.
But okay, so again, here's
just so people can take selfies.
Here's the theory, right? So we want. And it's funny. We started with bigger phones and people wanted smaller devices. Now people want bigger screens and things like that, right? So, the theory, I think, is to, again, have an edge-to-edge display, right? Maximize the screen space. But what's the point when you're taking a chunk out of the screen? Why would I want a tiny little dot out of my screen? Doesn't that eliminate the point of having the edge-to-edge screen?
It does. But...
it's not as bad as the notch. Like, the notch is huge. Like, at least the hole punch is smaller. But here's the thing. I'd rather have the notch because at least it's pronounced and it's like, hey, I'm a notch, rather than just having this little cutout for the camera where it's like a section of dead pixels.
When they do it poorly in software, or when the software doesn't really mesh well with that hole punch, so to speak. Like, you watch a full screen video on this phone, I bet there's going to be a big fat hole in it.
Right, exactly. So, I think the software like puts bezels on, or like, borders on the side of it and things like that, so you don't necessarily notice that. But like, still, like,
if you're watching something with wide aspect ratio, you might, because it might go edge to edge.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, but
okay,
it just eliminates the point behind it.
I'm fine with bezels personally. I don't see a problem.
No, I don't see a problem with the bezel either.
I agree that I guess think of like say the iPhone 5 or 6, right? They had huge bezels, right? Like maybe we could shrink the bezels down a little bit. Maybe
it's not bad on the S9.
But we don't need to be like going to all these crazy lengths just to eliminate like a centimeter.
It was an interesting conversation that my manager brought up to me. because I was talking about that. He's like, I really actually like the S10. I'm like, yeah, the S10 actually looks nice, minus the hole punch. And he's like, I don't mind it. And I think it's a very personal thing whether you actually mind the hole punch or not, or the notch or not. I still think it's stupid because again, it defeats the purpose of having this edge-to-edge screen. But the interesting question came up as to, well, my next phone's probably going to have either a hole punch or a notch. And I'm like, well, maybe not. Theoretically, I'll have this phone for another 3 to 5 years, right? And by that point, they might have figured out a way to embed the camera under the screen.
That's going to be a thing. I bet that's going to be a thing.
See, my manager doesn't think so, but I think it's going to be a thing. Somebody's going to figure out how to do it. I mean, they've already figured it. And here's what he said.
Under the screen fingerprint scanners.
Right.
That's something that I actually think is really cool. Because it eliminates it means that you can have a fingerprint scanner on the front of the phone without having to do that stupid fingerprint scanner on the back of the phone.
Oh,
I think
that is the one
thing ever.
Honestly,
I hate that.
That is one feature that I do not like about the S9.
I hate that. I would never want to use it.
Sure, it's nice. By the time I pull it out of my pocket, like it's already up and ready to go and unlocked. But it's horrible when my phone is just sitting on the table.
Yeah, and I do that. Put my phone on the table sometimes.
Because then I actually have to type my code in.
I have to pick it up.
Oh yeah, or you have to pick it up and unlock it. I'd rather, and that's one thing that I do miss about my iPhone with the physical Touch ID button on the front. I could just have it sitting there. I'd put my finger on the thumbprint or the fingerprint scanner. Boom, I was in. Can't do that with the S9. So that's one of the only things I dislike about this phone.
The S10 has an under display one as well.
Yeah, it does. It's actually pretty cool.
There's two different types. There's the ultrasonic ones, which are said to be more secure, and then there's just the optical ones, which are a little bit faster.
But yeah, I noticed that
apparently they're cheaper as well.
I noticed that on the new screen that we put in. I was like, because they had an extra little like piece of plastic over it, so it comes with like a piece of like protective plastic over the screen. And then there was another little one. I'm like, what the heck is this one for? And it's like, oh, that's right. This thing has an under the screen fingerprint sensor, which is really cool. But anyway. So back to this Plex thing real quick here. It's going to have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 processor, which features 128 gigabytes of storage, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and a 3,820 milliamp battery. The phone sports, as you said, micro SD storage for up to 256 gigs. It does have a headphone jack. And it's got Bluetooth 5.0. Whoop-de frickin' ding dong do. TCL says this is kind of cool though. A super Bluetooth option allows for up to 4 Bluetooth speakers or headphones to be connected to the Plex simultaneously. I don't know what you think about that.
Why do we need to do that? No. Okay, that's cool, I guess.
Right, yeah. I could maybe see for like a party where you want to have like multiple like speakers like spread out, but
yeah, speakers maybe, but headphones? No. No one's gonna use that. Maybe someone will use that.
Right. Colors on the TCL Plex screen are intensified with a 6-axis color enhancement for radiant images. Edges are honed with 2D edge enhancement for sharper pictures, and visual contrast are made more striking without being overexposed, with targeted contrast enhancements. With an SDR and HDR real-time conversion feature, the TCL Plex offers an HDR-like video enhancement with increased contrast, amplified color, brighter highlights, and darker shadows. So, interesting. Moving on to our... I mean, we're almost done, basically. We just have some rapid-fire stories to get to real quick here. Do you remember Apple's low-cost iPhone SE?
I do.
Yeah, low cost. It wasn't as... Do you let's see here. It launched in March of 2016 for the price of what? What did you pay for the privilege of owning an iPhone SE?
I do not know.
What's your guess?
Never even explored the possibility of having one. $500.
Actually, no, you're wrong. 400.
What? Price that cheap?
Yeah, but Apple is said to be preparing its first mid-range phone since the iPhone SE, which is expected to launch this spring. And Apple's looking basically to retake the ground it lost in markets like China and India from companies like Huawei, Samsung, and Axioma or X. I've never heard of that brand
I
before.
believe that company's called Xiaomi. I
Xiaomi?
might be wrong though.
Okay.
Yes, I know that the XI is pronounced like that. I
Xiaomi.
think.
Okay.
I don't know.
So the new model is set to be similar to the 4.7-inch iPhone 8 released in 2017. When it launches next year, it'll feature an LCD display and most of the same components as this year's flagship iPhones. The EDM report from April also said that the new iPhone SE, based on the iPhone 8, would ship in early 2020. Let's see here. It's been said that Apple needs to produce a $300 iPhone to be able to properly compete in India. Think Apple can do it? The 4-inch iPhone SE was priced, at $400 when it launched in March of 2016, and it was discontinued in late 2018 after selling about 40 million units. I still see a lot of SEs floating around, but anyway. Yeah. Apple produce a phone for $300? I don't see it. I do not see it at all. I think Apple's too cheap. Let's see. Firefox's latest version blocks third-party trackers by default now for everyone, Zach.
Nice.
Yeah. You've had that ability since October. And in June, they made it official. Microsoft Firefox web browser will protect your privacy by blocking third-party tracking software for all of its users by default now. Theoretically keeping companies from keeping tabs on you on your online activity, and potentially selling it to other people. Something Facebook. Yeah. So it's being released with Firefox version 69, where they just flipped the switch to turn on its enhanced tracking protection for basically all users. Currently, over 20% of Firefox users have the enhanced tracking protection on. Although, it sounds like the Mozilla protection is not going to go quite as far as Apple Safari web browser. I have no idea what Safari actually does. In terms of that, Firefox merely blocks a long list of supposed bad actors rather than all third-party tracking software. Oh, okay. I see. It may allow some sites to operate that rely on cookies to help serve up legitimate content as well. But there you go. That is our show for this week. So, anyway, I'd say we pretty much kept that to about an hour this week.
Honestly, surprised. You did.
Yeah. Well, see what happens when I actually produce the show correctly? Or not correctly, but like fully? So, I mean, look at this. There is a full rundown and literally bullet points from every topic that we talked about this week. So, anyway, it's nice when I have time to actually like fully produce a show like this, but makes things go a lot easier. I have less reading to do, which I think makes the show flow a little bit better, because I can just kind of look at bullet points, and I know a little bit more about going into things than when I just look at a story off the top of my head. Although that can create some really fun, unexpected results. So that's one of the things I love about you actually not pre-reading anything, is that sometimes I can hit you with stuff where you're like, really? And that's when I get some of the best reactions out of you. So.
Oh my.
But I don't know. I wonder sometimes, though, what it would be like if you actually did read things ahead of time. I don't know. Anyway. I guess I can't complain too much. At least I get you on the show every week, so. Which, Yeah. So, anyway, I have nothing else. I doubt you do either.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah, no? Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Thumbs up if you liked that. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Get subscribed down below if you haven't done that already. And we'll see you next week here on The Ram Show. Bye!